Yeah, you've done it again. 3 weeks ago, you promised yourself this time would be different. This time, you'd finally stick to that morning routine. You'd actually use that gym membership. This time, you'd start that creative project you've been putting off for months. But here you are again. Another broken promise, another hit to your self-trust, another reason to believe that maybe, just maybe, you're simply not capable of change. What if I told you the problem isn't your willpower? What if I told you the problem isn't even you? In a study from the University of Scranton, researchers found that 92% of people fail to keep promises they make to themselves. Think about that. The vast majority of the population is walking around with a fractured relationship to the most important person in their lives, themselves. But here's what's fascinating. These same people often keep their promises to others. They show up for their friends. They meet their work deadlines. They're reliable partners and parents. So what's happening in your brain when you make and break a promise to yourself? And more importantly, how do you fix it? When you make a promise to yourself, you're experiencing what neuroscientists call temporal conflict, a battle between your present self and your future self. Your brain processes these two selves as essentially different people. In a fascinating fMRI study from Princeton University, researchers found that when people think about their future selves, they activate the same brain regions used to think about strangers. Let that sink in. When night brain you makes promises about what morning brain you will do tomorrow, it's neurologically similar to making promises about what a completely different person will do. It's like writing checks from someone else's account. Easy to be generous when you're not the one paying the price. This explains why you can be so optimistic at night about waking up at 5 a.m. Your brain literally doesn't experience it as a commitment you will have to fulfill. There's also the dopamine factor. When you make a promise to yourself, I'll start eating healthy tomorrow, or I'll begin that project this weekend, your brain gets an immediate hit of dopamine, the reward neurotransmitter. You feel good simply by making the commitment. Your brain essentially says, task complete, reward delivered. But here's the problem. Your brain already got the reward. The promise itself was neurologically satisfying. So when tomorrow comes and it's time to actually do the hard work, there's little neurochemical incentive left. It's like your brain throwing a party before the guest of honor arrives. All the celebration happens at the promise, with nothing left for the execution. And that's when morning brain you, who, remember, your brain treats as a different person, has to deal with the consequences of night brain you's optimism. But the science reveals something even more profound. Most people try to solve this problem with more willpower, more motivation, or more shame. None of these work long-term because they completely ignore how your brain actually functions. The solution isn't more willpower, it's brain alignment. Here's the 4-part framework I call the MIES Method, pronounced MICE, that will transform your ability to keep promises to yourself. M. Mindset and identity first, actions second. Your brain makes decisions based on identity, not intentions. When faced with a choice, your brain asks, what would someone like me do? Not, what did I promise to do? This is why research from identity-based habit formation shows that people who shift from saying, I want to exercise more, to, I am someone who moves my body daily, are 2 to 3 times more likely to maintain their habits. Before making any promise to yourself, you need to consciously shift your identity language. Instead of, I will meditate every day, try, I am becoming someone who prioritizes mental clarity. This isn't just semantics, it's neurologically significant. Your brain will work to maintain consistency with your stated identity. Next we have I, incremental, minimum viable action. Your brain's effort threshold, the amount of perceived effort that triggers resistance, is much lower than you think. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman calls this the activation energy required for behavior change, and it's often the primary reason promises fail. The solution? Reduce the activation energy to almost nothing. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Don't promise to work out for an hour. Promise to put on my workout clothes and step outside for 2 minutes. Don't promise to write for an hour each morning. Promise to open my document and write 1 sentence. Research from Stanford's Behavior Design Lab shows that by designing actions that fall below your brain's effort threshold, you can bypass the resistance mechanism entirely. E. Environmental design over willpower. Your environment shapes your behavior far more than your intentions. In a groundbreaking study on habit formation, researchers found that environmental cues triggered automatic behaviors 85% of the time, completely bypassing conscious decision-making. This is why you need to design your environment to make kept promises the path of least resistance. For example, apply the 20-second rule. Make desired behaviors at least 20 seconds easier to do, and undesired behaviors at least 20 seconds harder. Want to read more? Keep a book on your pillow? Want to eat healthier? Pre-cut vegetables at eye level in your fridge. Want to exercise in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. Finally, S. Strategic failure protocol. Here's what most people never consider. Failure is part of the process, not the end of it. Research on habit formation shows that people who anticipate and plan for failure are 70% more likely to maintain long-term behavior change than those who expect perfect adherence. Create a failure protocol, a specific pre-planned action that's so small you can do it even when motivation is 0. Missed your workout? The failure protocol is doing just 1 push-up. Skipped meditation? The failure protocol is taking 3 deep breaths. This maintains the neurological pattern even during failure, preventing the complete abandonment of your promise. Application and examples. Let's apply this framework to some common broken promises. Example 1, the morning routine promise. Instead of, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and do a perfect morning routine, do this. 1. Identity shift. I'm becoming someone who values a calm start to each day. 2. Minimum viable action. I'll place my feet on the floor when my alarm goes off. 3. Environmental design. I'll put my phone across the room and lay out my journal the night before. 4. Failure protocol. If I hit snooze, I'll still write 1 sentence in my journal, no matter what time I get up. Example 2. The healthy eating promise. Instead of, I'll completely overhaul my diet starting Monday. Do this. 1. Identity shift. I'm someone who nourishes my body mindfully. 2. Minimum viable action. I'll eat 1 vegetable before anything else at dinner. 3. Environmental design. I'll prep cut vegetables at eye level in my fridge and hide snacks in hard-to-reach places. 4. Failure protocol. If I eat junk food, I'll immediately drink a full glass of water afterward. Example 3. The creative project promise. Instead of, I'll work on my side project for an hour every night. Do this. 1. Identity shift. I'm a creator who makes consistent progress. 2. Minimum viable action. I'll open my project and change just 1 thing, even if it's tiny. 3. Environmental design. I'll set up a dedicated space where my project stays open and visible. 4th, failure protocol. If I skip a day, I'll spend just 2 minutes the next day looking at what I've already created. Now, on a serious note, self-trust isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through kept promises, no matter how small. Each time you honor a commitment to yourself, you're literally rewiring your brain to recognize that your future self is worth investing in. You're closing the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. And paradoxically, by aiming smaller, you achieve more. By redesigning your promises around how your brain actually works, You stop fighting against your neurology and start working with it. The most profound transformation isn't in what you accomplish, it's in what you begin to believe about yourself. That you are someone who does what you say you'll do. That you are someone worthy of your own trust. That you are someone who keeps promises, especially to yourself. In the comments below, share one promise you've struggled to keep and how you'll redesign it using the MIES method. Remember, the next 24 hours are crucial for implementation. So choose just one element of this framework and apply it immediately. Your brain is primed for change right now. I'll place a video recommendation on the side screen here too for a recommendation on what to watch next. I also want to invite you to subscribe to Wealth Network for more real-life strategies that merge inner transformation with outer results. Because true wealth begins with keeping promises to yourself.